It's Thursday, October 26. In the headlines, Heart NSTA Trust to revamp its apprenticeship program. In business news, gas prices are up. Regionally, Guyana's president and opposition leader agreed to spare no effort in resisting Venezuela's actions that threaten to undermine their peace and security. Internationally, Donald Trump fined $10,000 for a second gag order violation. And in sports, Reggae Girls lose 2-1 to Panama. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. $100,000 parents will be provided with training by the National Parenting Support Commission. Speaking at this week's post-cabinet press brief, Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, explained that this is in an effort to rebuild good family structures and decrease violence in schools island-wide.
Parent mentorship training is currently underway, with trainees recommended from ministries, departments and agencies and the school leadership. Prospective parent mentors hail from all 7 regions. They are exposed to intensive modules of parenting education training and as such form part of those served under Indicator 2 of the Citizens Security Program. Certified parent mentors are mapped to schools and effectively support parents across Jamaica.
She notes that the initiative will be led by Kasia Kerr, Chief Executive Officer of the National Parenting Support Commission.
As you know, during the pandemic, they were closed. We have an additional 10 slated to be fully reactivated before the end of this school term, which is September to December. As you may be aware, our parent places provide parents with parenting education, psychosocial support, skills training and counseling, among other services.
An apprenticeship program is being developed by Heart in consultation with the private sector and through the technical support from the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB. Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for skills and digital transformation, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, gave an update during this week's post-cabinet press brief. Tertiary institutions will be targeted under the program, which is slated to be launched next year. The aim is to ensure that the workforce is equipped with the skill sets to meet labor market demand. Dr. Dixon says the paid apprenticeship will include an evaluation component and participants will receive Heart NSTA Trust certification. Members of the Jamaican Parliament are again urging the American government to end the decades-long economic embargo against Cuba. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Orlando Terrelong, opened the debate on the resolution on Tuesday.
Indeed, in keeping with its obligations under the Charter of the United Nations and international law, the government of Jamaica has not promulgated any law, legislation or measure that would infringe on the sovereignty of any state or its lawful national interests. And we believe that this particular embargo does in fact infringes on the sovereignty of our Cuban financial and trading operations, the impossibility of processing non-immigrant visas in Havana, intimidation of countries that send Cuba fuel supplies, attempts to undermine recovery of the tourism sector in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, and a campaign aimed at discrediting Cuba's medical cooperation programs. According to the Cuban authorities, economic damages attributed to the embargo amount to approximately $159 billion over the years. In fact, my lady, more specifically, from the 1st of March 2022 to the 20th of February 2023, the blockade is reported to have resulted in losses to the government and people of Cuba estimated at United States $4,867 million.
The U.S. economic embargo was imposed on Cuba by President John F. Kennedy after the failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion against the then young administration of Fidel Castro in 1962. In 2016, U.S. President Barack Obama visited Cuba and eased some of the worst effects of the embargo. But subsequent administrations of Donald Trump and Joe Biden reimposed many of these measures.
It has led to a grotesque kind of arrangement with Cuban people, even though some of them, because of the economic hardship that has been visited on the Cuban people for such a long time, and as resilient as they have been, they are human. And when we see what is happening at the border in Texas, and we say, well, what is going on? Well, the truth is, a lot of that, the United States government bears the responsibility because of its domestic, its foreign policies in other countries in the hemisphere. And in Cuba, it is clear that some of those at the borders are Cubans, fleeing the injustices and economic hardship. That is accumulating, it's not receding. And as the move of the resolution pointed out, the regulation attendant on the embargo has been tightened, not loosened as we expect. We were hopeful when the former President Obama visited Cuba that we'd see a new dawn.
We end the local news with a weather report from the Meteorological Service of Jamaica. There is a trough across Jamaica. It's expected to remain across the island for the next several days. This afternoon, expect cloudy conditions with showers and thunderstorms across sections of most parishes, especially southern and northeastern parishes. Windy conditions are expected across northern parishes. Tonight, expect lingering isolated showers and thunderstorms across sections of northeastern parishes, partly cloudy conditions elsewhere. On Friday, expect morning showers with isolated thunderstorms across eastern and north central parishes. Isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms are expected across southern parishes. Windy conditions are forecast across northern parishes. We're still in the hurricane season, so here's a hurricane tip.
Be sure to understand the hurricane warning system. That is the 3 phases: alert, watch, and warning. Hurricane alerts are given when weather conditions, sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or greater, are expected somewhere within the region. A hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions, sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or higher, are possible within the specified area. A hurricane watch is issued 48 hours in advance of the anticipated onset of tropical storm force winds in any area. During a hurricane watch, prepare your home and review your plan for evacuation in case a hurricane or tropical storm warning is issued. Listen closely to instructions from local officials. Hurricane warnings indicate that hurricane conditions, sustained winds of 74 miles per hour or greater, are expected somewhere within the specified area. Because hurricane preparedness activities become difficult once winds reach tropical storm force, sustained winds of 39 to 43 miles per hour, the hurricane warning is issued 36 hours in advance of the anticipated onset of tropical storm force winds to allow for important preparation. Remember, these are indications of how far away the hurricane is from your location. Keep in touch with your parish disaster preparedness committee and find out how the committee works.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Motorists will see an increase in the price of gasoline and a decrease in the price of diesel effective Thursday, October 26, according to the latest ex-refinery cost from Petrojam. With both grades of gasoline up by 25 cents, 90-octane gasoline will sell for $189.09 per liter, while 87-octane will sell for $183.02. Automotive diesel fuel will sell for $188.87 per liter after a decrease of 90 cents, and ultra-low sulfur diesel will sell for $196.49 per liter, down by $1.67. Kerosene decreased by 25 cents, will sell for $194.77 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will sell for $68.21 per liter, down by 25 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will sell for $76.19 per liter after an increase of 79 cents. Remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. The tax authority will be operating select tax offices this Saturday, October 28, as it continues to provide weekend services every last Saturday of the month for the 2023-2024 financial year. The following tax offices will operate this Saturday between the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. St. Andrew Constant Spring, Montego Bay FCJ Building at 11 to 12 Almond Way, Montego Bay Freeport, Mandeville, Savannah Lamar, and St. Anne's Bay. The Portmore Tax Office will continue its usual weekly Saturday operations with adjusted business hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, October 25, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.73. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.27. The pound sterling traded for $189.82, and the euro sold for $169.01. In GSE trading, the GSE index declined by over 524 points. The junior market index declined by over 27 points. The combined market index declined by over 740 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 309 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 99 stocks, of which 44 advanced, 41 declined, and 14 traded firm. Stocks advanced for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Viable Preference, and Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, Carreras Limited, and Derrimon Trading Company Limited. The overall volume leaders were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 7 million units, Edufocal Limited with over 3 million units, and Wilton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund was the only active security, boasting a volume of 16 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the volume leader with over 20,000 shares. They were followed by Government of Barbados Bond Series 1 and Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited, which traded 15,621 and 1,000 shares respectively. In regional business, Barbados has heard of CARICOM's commitment to driving targeted investments into priority sectors to propel the region's transformation. Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett declared the Caribbean is open for business as she addressed the opening of the second Caribbean Investment Forum in the Bahamas.
With largely capital-scarce countries in our region, economic growth has been propelled by both public and private investments, of which foreign direct investments remain a critical platform. The community therefore places considerable emphasis on creating and maintaining an environment conducive to business operations and on attracting both intra-regional and foreign investment flows. Statistics over the last decade show that our foreign investment inflows are less than what is required to augment domestic investments to drive inclusive and sustainable economic growth and development across our member states.
And as of midday today, We reached 502 participants from 40 countries. 90% are business people. We have institutional investors and businesses from India, Ghana, Kenya, across the Caribbean, North America, Europe. So, I mean, it's a good sign.
In international business, U.S. stocks tumbled as Alphabet shares slid after the Google parent posted disappointing earnings and as U.S. Treasury yields rose, reviving fears that interest rates could stay higher for longer.
The Dow lost 1/3 of 1%, while the S&P 500 dropped more than 1%, and the Nasdaq more than 2%. Alphabet posted disappointing cloud services revenue, leading to its precipitous decline. Exential Wealth Advisors Chief Investment Officer Tim Courtney said the stock was priced for perfection, as are other technology giants.
The upside is these companies have provided great returns year to date. The downside is they have to keep on performing to justify these prices, which they are well out of their normal valuation range, these mega cap tech names.
Treasury yields moved back up near 5% after robust new home sales data and mortgage rates reaching 23-year highs affirmed market expectations of prolonged elevated interest rates heading into 2024. Other stocks on the move included Microsoft, which gained 3% following its better-than-expected quarterly results, and Facebook parent Meta Platforms, which reported revenue that topped estimates after the closing bell. Shares rose 4% in after-hours trading.
In market data for oil prices fell on Thursday after a rise in U.S. crude stockpiles and a climb in the dollar index, giving up some ground gained a day earlier when prices jumped on fears of a broader conflict in the Middle East. Brent crude futures declined by 80 cents to $89.33, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures eased 91 cents to $84.48 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, as Venezuela continues to take action that threaten to undermine peace and security in Guyana and wider Caribbean region, President Dr. Irfaan Ali and members of the opposition, including opposition leader Aubrey Norton, met and agreed that a united front is necessary.
A united front. That was the message communicated directly and indirectly following a meeting between President Dr. Irfaan Ali and opposition leader Aubrey Norton. The two leaders, alongside their respective delegations, put aside any differences and met on Tuesday to discuss Venezuela's recent actions towards Guyana. According to a joint statement issued on Tuesday night, the president and opposition leader have agreed that from inception, the matter is of paramount importance. To this end, the leaders condemned the flagrant violation of the rule of law by Venezuela, and they agreed that no effort should be spared to resist the country's persistent endeavors to undermine Guyana's sovereignty and territorial integrity. In fact, the statement noted that President Ali and the opposition leader are confident that the issue would be resolved by the International Court of Justice. The issue in question is Venezuela's claim to 2/3 of Guyana's territory, that is, the entire Essequibo region and the exclusive economic zone offshore. After bilateral talks failed, the matter was referred to the World Court, where Guyana is seeking a final binding judgment that the Essequibo region belongs to Guyana and not Venezuela. The statement further noted that the leaders have also agreed that the questions to be posed in the referendum to be held by Venezuela on December 3, 2023, violated the sanctity of treaties since they are not aligned with the principles of international law. Similarly, a statement from the Caribbean community raised concerns about Venezuela's referendum. The statement said it appears as though Venezuela is willing to use force or war to get its way. But CARICOM noted that it, quote, earnestly hopes that Venezuela is not raising the prospect of using force or military means to get its own way in this controversy over territory, unquote. Further, CARICOM said the referendum has no validity in international law in relation to the border controversy and instead urged Venezuela to participate in the ongoing judicial process unfolding at the World Court. Reporting for the newsroom, Vishani Raghavir.
The aftermath of COVID-19 has seen a significant rise in levels of anxiety and depression in Trinidad and Tobago. This was confirmed by Health Minister Terence Dale Singh at Tuesday's Senate budget debate. As such, the government is expanding its mental health services reach.
Mental health, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideations need a different approach. And for that, we have worked to develop a program called Find Care TT, which is a hotline, a helpline for over 30 types of services.
And for those preferring a one-on-one approach, some new facilities have been established.
Professor Hutchinson also spoke about one of the novel programs we introduced, the walk-in stress clinic at NCRHA. We did that. So you no longer have to make an appointment. But the service now is so oversubscribed that we have to find ways of ramping it up. What we have done with the new Diego Martin Health Center, we have converted the old health center to a mental health clinic. You have a new mental health clinic in Aranguez.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, developmental economist Peter Adrians says the economic growth projections for St. Kitts and Nevis should be viewed in the context of a post-COVID environment. In a recent edition of Issues radio program, Mr. Adrians gave an assessment of the current state of the economy.
GDP is estimated to have grown by 9% in 2022, after contrasting by 14.5% in 2020 and 9% in 2021. It says the strong economic rebound was moderated by high fuel prices and food prices. But even then, the staff who did the report for St. Kitts projected at that time that the economy is likely to grow by 4.5%. That's a projection. So that's a projection at the time. But one must bear in mind, the best way to understand it, when you have a hurricane, everything mash up, or a lot of things mash up. So it means after the hurricane, activity, GDP is likely to grow very phenomenal because you are building back.
Right.
Now, that is not an indication that you are doing well. In fact, in economics, you treat that immediate high growth as an anomaly.
Mr. Adrian said the global economic conditions will have an impact on the St. Kitts Nevis economy.
If you look at the number of externality, the factors that are impacting on the economy since that projection. For example, we are still in the early stage of the post-COVID-19 period. The disruption caused by Russia and Ukraine war is still affecting every facet of production, distribution, and consumption. Even if the supply chain disruptions have kind of normalized. Now, on top of that, what you have is severe high fuel costs.
The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, in its most recent regional economic outlook on the Caribbean and Latin America, said after a stronger than expected recovery from the pandemic and continued resilience in early 2023, economic growth in the region is softening as the effect of tighter policies to combat inflation is taking hold and the external environment is weakening. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
In international news, former U.S. President Donald Trump was fined $10,000 after the New York judge overseeing his civil fraud trial said the former U.S. president, for a second time, violated a gag order barring him from disparaging court staff.
This judge is a very partisan judge, with a person who's very partisan sitting alongside of him, perhaps even much more partisan than he is.
It was that comment that cost former President Donald Trump $10,000 more at his civil fraud trial on Wednesday, after the judge said it violated a gag order in the case for a second time. Trump was fined $5,000 last week for not taking down a post that disparaged a law clerk after Justice Arthur Engoron barred him from making comments attacking court staff. Engoron, surmising that Trump's comments outside the court referred to his clerk, called it a blatant violation of the gag order and imposed the fine after Trump briefly took the witness stand. One of Trump's lawyers said the partisan person Trump had been referring to was not the law clerk, but Michael Cohen, the former president's one-time lawyer and fixer who is testifying against him in the trial. But the judge did not buy that argument and declined to reconsider the fine.
Attack, attack, attack. That's the Trump way.
Earlier, Michael Cohen underwent cross-examination during his second straight day of testimony in the case, in which Trump's family business is accused of unlawfully manipulating its financials to dupe lenders and insurers. Cohen, who hosts a political podcast and has written 2 books since cutting ties with Trump, acknowledged under questioning that he has a financial incentive to criticize his ex-boss, but defended his credibility. His testimony that Trump inflated the value of real estate assets could bolster the case against the former president, but Cohen's admitted record of deceit after having been convicted of tax fraud and perjury in 2018 could undermine his credibility before the judge, who alone will decide the outcome of the trial.
Went to jail for lying, and this is their only witness.
Trump has denied wrongdoing in the case and defended the valuations of his properties. He separately has pleaded not guilty in 4 criminal cases this year.
In sports, the Reggae Girls went down 2-1 to hosts Panama in their opening match of the CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifiers on Wednesday evening. The Reggae Girls team, which is missing all players from the World Cup this past summer, were suffering their first defeat to Panamanians. The girls will next play Guatemala on Sunday at the National Stadium. And in more sport news, the West Indies Women A team fell just short of a victory on Tuesday in the opening match of their tour of Pakistan.
West Indies were bowled out for 166 in 45.2 overs, replying to the Pakistanis' 174 all out of 49.3 overs in the match contested at the Ghani Glass Ground. Shabika Gajnabi led the way with 29, Captain Rashada Williams made 27, and opener Chanel Sao got 22. They were looking comfortable on 100 for 2 in the 24th over, but 5 wickets fell for 24 runs in the span of 67 balls. Earlier in the match, fast bowler Sherian Fraser was the most successful bowler for West Indies, taking 3 for 38 from 6.3 overs, and off-spinner Zaida James supported with 2 for 29 from her allotted 10 overs. After the West Indies chose to field, Pakistan Women A winning by 8 runs. The teams will meet again on Thursday for Game 2 at the same venue starting at midnight Eastern Caribbean time.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. And do remember, we are the People's Station.